to join the Footballers Battalion right at the beginning, just before Christmas 1914, and he would have been training then in England with the rest of his pals, other professional footballers of course, and their training would last about a year, and in November 1915 they were over in the Western Front, and they went into an area which is near the coalfields of France, and this is where Tull would have been taking part in trench warfare. And here he faced shell fire, here he would have faced the machine gun bullets, here he would have faced the snipers. He would have been actually in the trenches, in and out of the trenches, doing all the jobs that a soldier would have done. Now, this has been a footballer a year before, somebody who's never held a rifle, who's never drilled, who's never marched. But in that time, interestingly, you were talking to Graham earlier about him breaking barriers. In his army life, he broke barriers too, because when he joined the army, he didn't stay as a private for very long. He became, in very short order, a corporal, a lance corporal, a corporal, and a lance sergeant. So people who were in charge in that battalion saw something in Walter Tull which was extraordinary. His ability to lead men, his ability to show an example, and to be something that they could aspire to.
It's incredible. It's you know, you have those skills or you don't, and he surely did. Also on the pitch, but also in the battlefield. And in the battlefield, it's the real person comes out, you know, because it's life or death. And yeah, it's incredible.
I think you put your finger on it earlier on, that he felt himself a British subject and wanted to protect his country. Yeah. And in the army, in those positions of responsibility, which is what he had, I think he felt a real need to do the best that he could for his soldiers. And he would have been a section leader of about 8, 9 men, in charge of their welfare, their safety. And he would have tried everything, I think, within his power to do that. Now, he was only 5 months on the Western Front because he was taken out. He became ill with what was called acute mania.
Okay.
And it was not yet diagnosed.
Sorry.
I was going to say. I was going to
pick up from the acute mania.
He was taken out of the Western Front in April 1916 with what was called acute mania. Now, it was not yet diagnosed mental. Now, that acute mania was what we would call now post-traumatic stress. There was a mental condition, which that 5 months on the Western Front, the uncertainty, indiscriminate nature of death would have told on everybody's mind. We talked about Alan Foster, didn't we, saying it would prey on any man's mind. A human body, the human mind, just cannot take that relentless pressure.
So much.
And so Walter was taken to hospital, and then in April, late April 1916, and then back to England. We spent 4 months at home then, recuperating.
Yeah.
He came back, and he didn't come back to the 17th Battalion of the Middlesex, the 1st Footballers. He actually then went to the 2nd Footballers, the 23rd Middlesex. So he joined another Footballers Battalion. But he was only there for a short period of time, and he applied for a commission into the British Army as an officer, somebody who would lead men into battle. And his application was signed by his commanding officer, Alan Haig-Brown, who also played for Tottenham, also a football, and other people. And he was successful. He went back to England, was signed by Alan Haig-Brown, his commanding officer, who obviously saw his worth, and also his character. His witness statement on his character was signed by the very man, one of the founders of Northampton Town Football Club, Pat Darnell, who was one of the founders of your football club, Jimmy. And he signed, he attested to Walter's sound character, his moral character. And he was successful in application. And he went back to England again and trained for another few months as an officer in Scotland. And then he came back in, he came back to the Western Front, and he was posted as an officer to the 23rd Middlesex. And he went back to the Western Front. He fought in the Battle of Passchendaele, 3rd Battle of Ypres. And then in September, and then towards the end of 17, he was posted to Italy, and he showed himself to be a great leader of men. He went across the River Piave on raids to capture officers, went across the River Piave on raids to capture Austrian soldiers. And there was a great raid on New Year's Day 1918. When he went across, he led a lot of men across the river, 30 odd men. It was a huge raid, and he brought them all back again without a casualty. Wow. Didn't get any prisoners. And for that, he was commended by the Divisional General, a senior member of staff, for his gallantry and his coolness and for bringing back those men without a scratch. Yeah. And some people thought that he should have got the Military Cross, one of the highest awards for gallantry. He had it written out by his Major General. Unfortunately, he didn't get the Military Cross. There's no doubt, Jimmy, that here was a tenacious, courageous, very brave man who led from the front.